Hello everyone. My name is John Egan. I'm CEO and founder of BIMLauncher. Connor is in the crowd today. I've made a decision. I'll present today, not a joint effort. Our presentation, my presentation now is on. I suppose it's on a topic of automating workflows in a distributed common data environment. So what we've done is worked with a customer to highlight the differences of doing manual information exchange in a distributed common data environment versus using BIMLauncher automation to perform information exchange in a distributed common data environment. As I mentioned, CEO and founder at BIMLauncher. My background is in software development, construction. I trained as an architect and software architecture as well. Together with Connor, we have 20 years combined experience developing technologies specifically for construction technology, we've 20 years experience building construction technology, obviously for the AEC sectors. And today we're a leading provider of automation solutions, or workflow automation solutions for the AEC sectors. On the right here, you can see some of the platforms that we currently support, some of the CDEs that are most common, most frequently used throughout on the biggest projects around the globe are the CDEs that we support, and we like the tagline "collaborate across platforms," and that's what we enable at BIMLauncher. Our customers are all around the globe. We work with large and enterprise-sized organizations on all sorts of projects, from commercial to government to infrastructure. The problem that all of our customers share is that they spend too much time managing information between systems. Decreases productivity for the teams working on the project, reduces the data quality because a lot of the important metadata that describes the data in CDEs gets shaved off on the manual import-export, and it leads to costly rework and safety risks in case that the wrong information is transferred. And most of all, it leads to poor communication and collaboration for these teams who are trying so desperately hard to collaborate, all the while using these different disintegrated systems. What BIMLauncher does is we introduce an automated solution to automate information workflows, information sharing workflows across systems, automating things like the sharing of information at certain points in the project, publishing of information. We support doing approval workflows between systems. We also automate things like quality checks around file naming conventions, information against the information management or the information requirements on a project. We also support teams with archiving and migration. So in the case that teams want to move, let's say they want to adopt a new CDE, what BIMLauncher can do is transfer all of their historical data out of one system and put it into the next as well. So you can pick up where you left off in your new system. As an overview, this is the high-level distributed common data environment architecture that we use for our case study. So what you can see here is that the project used the ISO file naming convention, or not file naming convention, they used the ISO status and this is the, I suppose, piece of metadata that indicates to the BIMLauncher system that information can be transferred between systems. So you can see here the dotted line represents the internal workflows within systems, and then the green and red lines represent the BIMLauncher automated workflows across systems. So you can see here, once the document hits the S4 status, we transfer that into ACONX. The document then enters the client review. In the case that the document is not approved, we transfer the comments from that review back into your ACC platform so your design team can access the comments that your client made within ACC. And then in the case that the document has been successful in the client review, we're able to transfer that file back into ACC and update the status so it's reflective of its current status in the workflow in Aconex. So the particular workflow, the case study that we were looking at and that I'll discuss in the next slides is for 500 documents. That was a typical submittal that was made by this customer, consisting of 450 drawings and 50 models. And so the drawings were in and around 300 megabytes, 350 megabytes, and the models were up at 950 megabytes on average. So the first workflow that I'm going to talk about in detail is our workflow from our Autodesk Construction Cloud to Aconex. So this is where we transfer documents that are ready to be approved in Aconex across into Aconex and submit them to the client. So this is part one of the two-part workflow that I'm going to be discussing. First thing that we do is read the Autodesk Construction Cloud Documents module. In particular, we'd be reading from the client shared folder. We'd be filtering documents based on their metadata. So in this case, you can see highlighted in green, we have the files that are compliant with our filter here. So we only want to transfer documents with an S4 status. You can see a document is in here with the S3 status. BIMLauncher doesn't pick that up. The next thing that we do is translate a file, the concept of an Autodesk Construction Cloud file, into an Aconex document. So there are two different concepts across the systems. What we're doing there is translating all the metadata on the ACC file to the Aconex document. For some reason, that translation table has not appeared on this slide, and I don't know why, but yeah. So once we have that translation step done, we merge them into the Aconex platform. If it's a new document, we introduce that as a new document or new file. We'd introduce that as a new document in Aconex, and if the document is already present, we create a new revision of that document. And once the upload is complete, the document controller will receive a notification from the BIMLauncher workflow to say that documents have been uploaded into the Aconex system and are ready to complete the submittal workflow. So it's worth noting here, what we're trying to do is not replace the document controller, but be an assistant to the document controller. How we like to position BIMLauncher as a virtual document controller. Once the documents have been approved by the client in the Aconex system, the design teams or BIMLauncher would take on the role of transferring the comments and an up-to-date view of those files or documents in their review workflow back to Autodesk Construction Cloud. So the way that we do that is we would transfer or we would filter based on the review status. So we can see here the files that have been highlighted in green. BIMLauncher knows they've been reviewed in Aconex because they have a review status set as A, B, or C. The next thing that we do is translate the concept of an Aconex document back to the ACC file. Once again, this table we developed this in Google Slides, and we exported it to PowerPoint, and I think that there's some interoperability issues, ironically, between the two platforms. But yeah, this is pretty much, just shows how we can map the metadata and maintain maximum information integrity from the document in Aconex back to the ACC file. The next thing that we do is we generate a comments document, and how we do that is reach into the submittal workflow in Aconex and pull out all the information with regards to that workflow, such as the step status, the step outcome, who made the comments, and so on. And we push that into an XLSX format. So we essentially make a spreadsheet I suppose somewhat of a comment review sheet from the information that we grab from Aconex. Once again, the issues with the translation table. What we do then is, based on the source document, we are able to generate metadata for the comments file that we then go ahead and will be merged into ACC in the next step. Our merge step, what you're looking at here is an up-to-date view of the documents based on the submittal outcome. So you can see here what we've done is introduced a custom field in ACC called client review status. And you can see here we have the A, B, and C belong to those files that were reviewed in Aconex. So that's all available to you in Autodesk. So your client teams or your design teams don't have to refer to a document controller or the Aconex platform to see the results of the client review. Any documents that are marked up and transmitted to your organization in Aconex post-review, it then transferred across into ACC, and you can see that this marked up file is available within the ACC document viewer for your design teams to access as well. And you can see here, finally, the comments sheet, the XLSX file that we generated back at the translation step has been uploaded into the ACC files tool beside the original document. That can be opened within the ACC platform by your design teams so they can see the comments that the client has made on a particular document. And then once that's completed, once all that's completed, your document controller can advise your design teams that the review has completed and your design team can essentially take action on their design documents. Now the results of this, once again, issues with tables. Apologies about that. I do know the figures. So so you can see in this table the workflow steps. We've run 2 workflows here. The frequency of the first step is that workflow needs to be ran every time a new package for a submittal needs to be performed. We found that the document doing this manually for a particular sample set cost 26 hours of document controller time. BIMLauncher performed or completed that particular workflow in 6 hours. The second workflow, the frequency of that is each time a review completes, the document controller would spend 5 hours typically transferring those comments back from Autodesk back from Aconex into Autodesk. BIMLauncher does that in 1 hour. So in terms of total times, BIMLauncher across the 2 workflows was 6 hours. Document controller, you were looking at 31 hours. So as a summary, just in terms of the benefits of using an automated solution such as BIMLauncher, what you get is a 4.5 times increased speed in the workflow execution. So what that means is that your submittals can actually be made on the same day compared to waiting multiple days for that you would actually otherwise have to wait for your document controller to complete that transfer process. There was an 80% reduction in the scheduled document controller on time on projects, which meant that one document controller could do a lot more with their time. For example, one document controller could potentially, with the virtual document controller by BIMLauncher, essentially do five projects in the space that it typically would have taken them one project. And obviously, because this is an automated and rule-based process, there's 100% reduced risk of any error and information accuracy concerns. And because there's no manual transfer, there's no document controller using their laptop, there's no load on the IT team either. So your network is free for upload and download, and there's no concerns around storing the information. And additionally, no security concerns for potentially confidential documents stored on a local machine. So that completes the presentation. I have a minute left. Contact us to see how much time we can save for your teams on your next project. They're my contact details at the bottom. Thank you.